If you think about it, most discipline advice on the internet often feels like it was written by someone who's never actually struggled with discipline. It's either too soft, like be kind to yourself, just take small steps, or it's something absurdly hardcore, like if you skip a workout, punish yourself by doing 500 burpees in a snowstorm. But in reality, none of it actually forces you to be consistent in the long run. The real issue is it's way too easy to not be disciplined. Your brain is wired for immediate comfort, and it's not your fault. It will choose the easiest, least painful option every time unless something forces it to do otherwise. You can promise yourself you'll go to the gym at 6, but if skipping means you get to stay cozy in bed with no consequences, guess what's happening? Exactly. So instead of trying to will yourself into discipline, the easiest fix isn't to become more motivated or mentally strong. It's to make it so annoying and inconvenient to not do the thing that you do it just to escape the discomfort. This is what people miss. Everyone fights against their own willpower, but willpower is unreliable. What you need is to lazy-proof your environment so that not being disciplined is what sucks more. Because think about it. Most of the things you actually stick to aren't because you're naturally disciplined, right? You do them because the alternative is much worse. Like you go to work because getting fired is worse. You show up to class because failing is worse. You pay rent because homelessness is worse. See my point? You're already capable of discipline. You just need the right level of discomfort to trigger it. So, let's say you want to wake up early, but every morning you just keep hitting snooze like it owes you money. The standard advice would tell you to find a compelling reason to wake up. But that's not the problem. The problem is that staying in bed is still the better option. That's what you need to switch up. And instead, try putting your alarm across the room next to a cup of water. Now, when it goes off, you have to physically get up to turn it off. And since you're already up, might as well chug that water. Your body starts waking up, and at that point, going back to sleep now feels like a hassle. And boom, you're up. Or let's say you keep getting distracted while working. You tell yourself you'll focus, but then suddenly, you're deep in a rabbit hole, watching a 20-minute breakdown of why the Cars movie universe is a capitalist dystopia. So what's the solution? Simple. You make those distractions physically annoying. In this case, you can use website blockers, but if you know you'll just turn them off, go manual. Take your phone, shut it down, and leave it in another room. If your laptop is the problem, do the same thing. 90% of the time, you'll get bored of logging back in real fast. Now, physical discomfort is one thing, but financial discomfort? That hits different. People will avoid losing money way more than they'll chase earning it. There's a principle in psychology dedicated to this called loss aversion. For example, if you want to work out consistently but keep skipping, put money on the line. Tell a friend you'll send them $10 every time you miss a session. Suddenly, skipping is not just, oh well, I'll go tomorrow. It's now, I really don't feel like losing $10 over this. And if that doesn't sting enough, make it $50. Or even better, make the punishment worse than just losing money. There are websites that will literally donate your money to organizations you don't even care if you don't follow through. Now, skipping the gym doesn't feel so convenient anymore. The key is making the pain immediate. A lot of people struggle with discipline because the consequences feel far away. You want to skip the gym today? No big deal. But if every time you skip, you lose money right then and there, suddenly, it matters. Another thing is that humans are social creatures. We care what people think, even if we pretend not to. That's why, if you can use that to your advantage, discipline gets way easier. For instance, if you need to finish a project but keep procrastinating, tell someone you respect about it and promise them an update by a certain time. Now, slacking is not simply disappointing yourself, it's flat out embarrassing. Trying to quit a bad habit? Announce it to your family or friend group. Not in a look at me, I'm built different type of way, of course, but in a way that makes backing out feel stupid. There's a reason accountability groups work. Nobody wants to be the one person who failed. There's an experiment where researchers found that simply having someone watch you made you perform better at a task. It's called body doubling. Having someone else in the room while you work, even if they're not doing anything, makes you focus more. If you can't find a real person, join an online co-working session. Your brain will register the presence of others, and suddenly, you'll feel pressure to actually do something. Even something as simple as changing your wallpaper to a goal you're working on can help. There was another study where people who set their phone wallpaper to a goal-related image were significantly more likely to follow through. Why? Because every time they opened their phone, it was a reminder that quitting would make them look dumb. And that's the trick. The moment skipping feels worse than doing the thing, discipline stops being a struggle. It's not really about forcing yourself. It's about setting things up so the easy option is actually the right one, which, now that I think about it, suggests that people don't change habits through inspiration. They change through consequences. Atomic Habits calls this the inversion of the second law of behavior change. Basically, if you want a habit to stick, you have to make the bad option painful. Studies on habit formation show that immediate consequences shape behavior more effectively than long-term rewards. To put it simply, pain avoidance is stronger than delayed gratification. There's also a concept called temptation bundling, where you attach a consequence or reward to a habit. This is why tough gym rats who can only watch their favorite romance anime after working out tend to stay consistent. You can apply the same principle by making the thing you want to do the path of least resistance. But even with all this, some people still get overconfident and set punishments that are often too rough. If losing $10 per skipped workout is motivating, great. But if it's $100 and you end up skipping anyway, now you're just broke and demoralized. Start with a level of discomfort that's annoying but manageable. Another issue is loopholes. Your brain will look for them. If your alarm is across the room but you start keeping a second pillow so you can just cover your ears, you've outplayed the system. Try to always be smarter than yourself. If you find a way to cheat, adjust the setup so you can't. Though some people worry that this makes discipline feel like punishment or just pure evil pressure. But honestly, so what? I mean, extreme is what gets results. Extreme is what makes you act when you otherwise wouldn't. If your discipline strategy isn't strong enough to override your natural laziness, it's pretty damn useless. And yeah, sometimes you'll just outright refuse to follow your own system. You'll see the consequences coming and still say, screw it. That's normal. But the goal is not perfection. Never. It's just making the right choice easier and the wrong choice harder. If 8 out of 10 times discipline wins because being undisciplined is just too inconvenient, that's a win.